Hello, welcome back to the LAMDA log. This is Zion Austin, week 4, day 4, though it's Friday because we didn't have school on Monday, the 29th of May. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, good time of day. We started off bright and early with some ensemble singing, and we worked our Welcome to the Rock for just like a little bit, and then we performed them. And the first performance was really cool. They had this like open square, like this 3-sided square of chairs, and then they had people like come in and switch spots, and it was really clean and organized. It was great. And the second one was like it was a film crew, and um and so they were like asking people, it's like, oh, what was your experience? And then people had like different roles in the film crew, and that was cool. um and then ours was just a little messy, but I think we still did a good job, and I think we had some good moments. We had a few people who weren't able to be there, and so we had to fill in some solos and things. And I was like freaking out about it because I was like, wait, why can't I find this note? And I just didn't work on it. I was like, wait, 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 wait. But hopefully it was a good time. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we managed, and it was good. It was good. Then we had movement with Nicoletta, and we started on the floor, sending breath and energy into the ground. And we warmed up and we moved, and then we got into a circle, and then we stepped into space like an ensemble. And then we continued exploring lightness and balance between um, muscularity and lightness, and what needs to take more weight or force to allow another part to be light. Like if I lift my leg, even right now I'm sitting on the ground, I put more force into the ground with my left leg if I'm lifting my right. And if I was just use like try to just use my strength at all, I still have to push against something. Like even like I'm trying to do it right now, and I'm pushing with my arms on this desk. And so I really tried to isolate and explore what minimal effort can I exhaust to, or can I use to allow for that lightness. And so I really felt like the weight of my arm as I just brought it over the ground. And then we added the Macbeth to our environment and how that affected us. And then what is the cost of movement is something I was thinking of. And when entering the mindscape of Macbeth, I felt lightness created the sense of falling or the loss of control. And I played with letting certain parts of me surrender completely to gravity, and the rest of my body overcompensation. Like my upper half, I just let flop, and then I tried to do it with just my legs, but that was hard because I was just kind of crawling on the ground. And then we discussed our experiences. And how do we know it's time to stop exploring and start making decisions was one of the questions. And then a deadline is a big help. And also, um, once you get familiarity with your own process, you'll understand when to stop. And then before you start doubting your choices, or like right when you start like doubting things you've done, you're like, okay, it's time to just jump into this. And then we went back to our little performance pieces that we were working on at the end of last week. And we added text, and we added some more, and then we shared them. And the first couple, they went with just like a repeated 2 phrase, "It is not done," and "Sleep no more." It was really cool. It felt like Lady Macbeth was dragging Macbeth into making it, into doing these deeds. And Macbeth, or it could have been Lady Macbeth. I don't know who says "Sleep no more." I think it's Macbeth because he has insomnia, but it might have been Lady Macbeth, and the other one might have been like filling in for fate or ambition or whatever. Um, and then the next 2 went, and it said, "If we should fail, we fail," which is our lines too that we ended up using. And it was definitely Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, and they were really like pushing each other and trying to figure that out. And then the next 2 was "My dear friend," and then something responded, and then "I dreamt of the weird sisters last night." And so it was interesting because it was Macbeth and Banquo and their relationship. And then the 3-person went, and then it was like fate, and it was like Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, and then this fate or this thing getting between them and tearing them apart. and then leaving Lady Macbeth dead. And then my partner and I went and we did If You Fail, We Fail. And that was the whole moment about like right before he kills Duncan and making that decision. And then the last two went and their lines were, I have words of all men. I have, of all men, I alone avoided thee. And I was untimely ripped and I shall fight thee. But it was Macduff and Macbeth and their final fight. And then we discussed our experiences. And Nicola says that her taste seems to be that if there's heightened text and heightened physicality, it doesn't always work. You kind of have to sacrifice one for the other, heightened physicality and minimal text, or minimal physicality and heightened text. And that's why a lot of the time you get these like heightened text Shakespeare things where they just kind of stand and speak because the words are doing all of the work for you. And then we scale up or down any of these movements, right? Anything we do, we could make it bigger or make it smaller or more pedestrian, right? We could make our movements more pedestrian and think, and this way we can leave room for more heightened text. Another option is to create a sequence of movements based on the form we've learned, and then we allow the text to come from the movements and to generate the text, right? So that it's not based on a previous text, but the text comes from the movement. And then another option is to create sequences with the form restraints, then surprise us by adding that movement to a scene we've already learned, and then to put the movement on top of the scene. So they were like conceived separately and then added on top of each other how it fits. And then next week we'll add another person to our movements. Then we had lunch. Then after lunch we had Practical Voice with Tamsin. It was great. We had a little warm up that was led, and I was determined not to fall asleep and not to be sleepy. And so we started on the floor in the warm up, and it was semi-supine and kind of stretching out the back and twisting, and then up to tabletop, and then the kind of spirally spine thing, and then downward dog to spinal roll, and then bounce with the body. And then kind of like bounce with, like, imagine you have a baby seal in your arms and bounce around. That was a cool visual. And then drop over your legs and hum up. And then imagine you have a steel bow and you're pointing it, and you draw back on a number 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and then up to how many ever you wanted to. And then we also did the weekdays into the space. Well, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday specific targets to send that to. Excuse me. And then we did a vacuum breath where you let out all your air as you crouch down. And then you plug your nose. And then you like feel the pressure of like trying to breathe in. And then you let it in all at once while you stand back up. And then we did some tongue twisters with articulation. Bappity. You go through all the vowel sounds like bappity, bappity, bippity, boppity, boppity, buppity. And then you would change the sounds like tappity, teppity, tippity, toppity, tuppity. And then you can do like a bunch of different ways with that. And then we got into groups and discussed, and then we discussed as a class. But I did not fall asleep, and I think partially it was really nice to have a short floor section. That wasn't too much. That was great. And then overall, great thing. Great images were really good. Like the first person also said like breathe into the ground and like release like melted butter, something we worked with. But she said like pancake batter on a pan, which was good. And then a lot of good through lines of temperature and jaw release. Sometimes it's good to get jaw release before you drop the jaw, and build sound before working with it, and refocus on the body. What is it doing? bring articulation more into the body, played with a little text. And then we did beach ball breathing for a good little bit. We did it on a shh and on a s and on a z and then on a line. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And really kind of pushing that breath. And then we had a 3-minute water break. Then we put all our chairs in a circle because it was hot and we were tired and it was rough. And we did a face massage and a jaw massage, just to warm that up a little more. And then we did some gurning with some lip trills. And then we went from a pout to a wide smile from one hand. That wasn't a great example, but that was the idea, from smoothly going between them. And then we looked at some continents. Oop poo, op po, op paw, ap pa, ape, ape pay, eep pee, with a bunch of different vowels. So then boop, boop, no, oop, oob boo, op bo, op ba, ap ba, ab. It's hard to do it with it, but just like switching both those consonants. And then we practiced some text that we chose, and then we whispered the text, and then we respoke it. And then we did a tongue root massage. And then we thought about like clearing caramel from our teeth. I guess I should say caramel. I'm always curious on if I say caramel or caramel. Or caramel. I don't know. And then you go, oh yeah, with your tongue, top, bottom, side, side, really loosening up that tongue, and then spell your name with your tongue in capital. And then look around your mouth both ways, and do a figure 8. And then some articulation play as we use the goose, goat, thought, bath, face, fleece. So looped, loped, lopped, lapped, laped, leaped, lubed. And then we did unlubed and gooked and googed and booled and booled and moomed and roofed and rude and toosed and toosed. And then through all the groups. And then with hand gestures, on how the mouth, with hand gestures, how the mouth and the tongue, like in the lips, when we're doing our text, is where does the tongue and the mouth go? And then to demonstrate how the mouth forms sounds while reading the text. And then we had a 30-minute break. And I laid down for a second, and then we practiced some hypochondriac lines because we were presenting in class, which goes to our next and final class, French scenes. And so we did a compliment warm-up, which was so delightful. We had 2 people stand up in front of class to kind of give us examples of it. Speaking about French scenes, Marianne always gets mad at me when I pop my fingers. She's like, no, be nice to your skeleton. But so 2 people went up and they just for a minute complimented each other. And then one complimented the other one, and then they switched and the other one complimented him. And it was great. And then we got into our scene partners, and then we did the same. But since we were in a trio, one of my scene partners went with somebody else. But it was great. And then we did a run with timing and flow, and we took notes about each other, 1 line for each time. Mine was a performance note about Tartuffe. And so first we did Le Cid, then Berenice, then Phèdre, then Don Juan, then Tartuffe. My note was to connect the thoughts a little bit more, maybe, and think about the moment before, coming into it. And then there's a lot of, like, we're in a traverse stage or an alley stage, and so there's audiences on 2 sides. And so there's a lot of, like, back stuff. And then we went and our notes, it was messy. But we found some nice new bits. And the thing is, we just need to practice with our bits and our props and our things. And some general notes is it was well done with the commitment. We went for it and built off other offers. We are deciding where to put the interval and the order. Um, then we gave each other our notes, and the notes that we received were my own personal note first was that we need to clean up the beginning and speed it up. The pace was lagging, and the lines weren't there. It was a mess. Learn your lines. I also wrote you need more fluidity and ease. And then some things was there was good emphasis on sharing with the audience, a good breaking of the rhythm, good rowing with the boat and the chair idea, and then sharply comedic follow and the follow and leading chase scenes, like is that going, and then make it really clear. Um, More constraint is better, so only use my legs with Beline, so it's almost like I'm confined to the chair until I'm not, instead of using my legs more often. And then improve pace, clean it up, and take out the dead space. Create specific rules for the chair. Angelique entrance, make it immediate. Clarify the groping, because there's a part where he tries to initiate something. Punctuate the ending, and don't forget you're ill. Create a moment with that. Why? Maybe I get up at a second. It's like, don't forget you're ill, and you're like, and that was it. That was the day. Also, a little add-on for Saturday, because I'm filming this Monday morning. But Saturday, I got to school super early. Well, no, I got to school at like 10. I went to the school and I was there all day. But I got there at like 10, and then I tried to do my digital audition, which I'm going to go to the school early again today to finish it, because I wasn't able to memorize it to a satisfactory amount for myself. But I'm just going to do, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil men do. I didn't know if I was going to continue. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones, and let it be with Caesar. So I'm going to do that. And I hope that's due at noon. That would be tragic if it weren't. I know it's due today. Anyway, I'll do that Monday morning, this morning, right now. And then I had combat, and we choreographed the end of it, and I die. Felipe kills me, and there's some more stuff. I was getting so tired. Oh yeah, because also Friday night, I stayed late as well, and I practiced combat for ever. Yeah, we practiced for like 2 hours, almost an hour and a half, and then our actual scheduled time was moved up for Saturday, and so then I did that for 2 hours. Actually, I think we were scheduled for 2.5, and with our breaks, it was probably about 2. And then I started walking home and realized I had scheduled to work on someone else's thesis, and so then I ran back. I was like, "Hi." And then we choreographed some combat for that. So lots of combat this week. It's good. Anyway, it's a lot. It's good. Love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day, life, whatever it may be. Bye.